There we go. Let me set up my desktop in the background here. Hey, Jane. Hey, Sandra. Just setting up my screen really quick. Just give me a couple seconds here. There we go. Just had to set up the chat. How you guys doing? Let me just set it up on my screen. If you guys are watching the chat, make sure that you set your chat from top chat to live chat. Hi, April and the PI posse. The Pips. Hey, Kelsers. There's a Pip right there. There's a member. Yeah, let me tell you, the last couple of days have been a crap show. My friend is out of the hospital, but they fixed the GI issue, but her vitals are still too low. And I talked to her son today, who was on his way to work, and I'm like, you know, if you can get out of it and get home, because I need you to be calling the doctor and calling the cardiologist. And she's still too low. She didn't want to stay in that hospital. She didn't want to be poked and prodded anymore, and I understood that, because I'm like, you know, hey, I've been there 17 times, plus chemo, plus surgeries, plus radiation, plus heart, like, and sometimes not just for a day or two, but, you know, I've been dealing with this stuff for the last 8 to 10 years. So I understand her disdain of hospitals and being poked and having no peace and not even being able to sleep. But it's like, they have to make you better. So to answer your question, Sandra, long story short, you know, I would feel a lot better if my friend was actually still at the hospital, where they could monitor her and make sure that her vitals were coming up so she would feel better. You know, she's been through a lot, a procedure, a blood transfusion, her vitals tanking out. They're still a lot low, actually. And when she left the hospital, apparently her heart was going too fast, but they gave her some medication to slow it down. But I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, and they gave her the option of staying or leaving, and she was like, oh, I want to go home. But I know, Kelsers, you know, the medical care in the United States of America just plain sucks. And that's actually a good hospital, but it sucks. You know, I've had 2 heart surgeries, and the day I have the surgery, like within a couple hours, they push you out the door. And you're trying to like crawl into the bed, and they're like, oh, no, stand up and walk around. And you're just like, ugh. You know, you just had your heart operated on, and wires inside your heart, and they're burning, scarring your heart, or electroshocking you. And they're like, no, don't lay down. Like, get up. You got to go. You know, and I don't have any family to take me home. You know, at least she's got a daughter and a son, and the son's girlfriend's parents live with them for a while, and they can go check on her. But at the same time, she needs some sleep. But I'm like, you know, they even said when she left the hospital, you need to contact your cardiologist right away. Has that even happened yet? You know, like, sometimes I don't know what the kids are thinking. Like, hello, you know, this is your mother here. So I kind of organize everything. The last few years, I've kept myself alive, and I've kept her alive. But, you know, she has a lot of other medical issues that are probably contributing to this. And, you know, at least she's not in danger of bleeding out, but, you know, you can still die from heart failure. I know, I've had it before. She's had it before. My mom had it, and, you know, it took out my mom. I'm not going to answer that question, Meat Wagon. I'm going to take you out just for that. I don't like that username. So that's happened. And then the computer issue happened on Sunday, and luckily my computer guy, as you know, came out and got me going again so I could talk to you guys, because I wasn't going to go on the air, but I did. And then, you know, our sweet Jackie, who's in the, she's in the green screen behind me. She's the one on your right. She's right there. You know, her first clutch failed this year. She had a second clutch. She successfully birthed 2 more eggs. And then, well, the first 2, and then those were attacked by ravens, but something was wrong. So she kind of let it go. And then she birthed the other 2 eggs. She had a late season hatchlings. However, she hasn't been right all year. And earlier in the year, she had an incident where she may have swallowed a fish hook or a fishing lead weight, because she had like fishing line and a hook hanging, and then she ingested it. But then birds like that, they make these pellets like in their stomach, and they expel them. And like all the garbage that comes out of the lake when they eat the fish that might be in the fish, they can expel that. So they thought she had expelled it, but they're not really sure. And then, you know, we had the fireworks incident, and then, you know, for July 4th, which is just, it's pathetic that, you know, fireworks were more important than our birds. They're also in peril of losing their habitat if $10 million is not raised. I think they've raised $3 million thus far. It's not enough. That their habitat will be torn down for building. And, you know, the babies have fledged, but one of them fell out of the nest, and she was taking care of that baby on the ground because it couldn't really fly. And then that one survived, but they're still babies. They're still baby eaglets, and they're still like coming back to the nest at night. And for the last several weeks, it seems like the father, that's a Shadow, he's that one. He's been doing all the work. He's been catching all the fish. But the last couple days, things have got really serious because we haven't seen her. And then somebody got video of an adult eagle being attacked in flight by 2 adult sub-adult eagles, meaning they're not babies, but they're not full adults either, because you can tell by their plumage. And they think those eaglets or eagles are 3 to 4 year old adults, and they probably would not have gone for her, but I think animals can sense when other animals are wounded or they're sick, and that's why they got to her. And she was injured. She was rescued. They didn't know. Friends of Big Bear Valley, which is the organization, that's FOBBV.org, they're the ones in charge of her rescue. But remember the lady that ran that, she died earlier this year or at the end of last year. I think it was the beginning of this year. She passed away, Sandy Steers. So it's just been a crap show. And then that rescue, they didn't know who it was, but there was rumors that rescue couldn't help her, and that she's been transferred to another rescue because it might be more than just an injury. It may be an illness. She's not well. She's not strong. And she can't even fly at this point. And they finally found out where she had been taken. And they're still not confirmed, but they think it's, 99% confirmed that it's her, because these eagles are not banded. But she's suddenly gone, and she hasn't been well. And I can recognize her anywhere. And I know that eagles look alike, but I know my Jackie. And it's her. Yeah, I know. It's emotional. However, the good news is she's been transferred to Ojai. And they have run diagnostic tests. And we wait. In the meantime, the babies are fine. They can fly now. They haven't really learned to hunt yet. The father's teaching them. He's bringing up to 5 fish a day, which the babies are just ravishing as if they've never eaten before. And they're like getting very aggressive and fighting each other over his food deliveries. And it's actually kind of funny because he has had to jump back like, oh my God, what the F? Like, what are you doing? Like he can almost get injured because they're so big now, the babies. There's one boy and one girl, we think, Luna and Sandy, named after the beautiful Sandy steers. But, and he just looks at them like, oh my God. But in the meantime, when he's not catching fish and feeding, he has left because he's trying to find Queen Jackie. And he's panicking because even when they're not mating to make babies, they mate almost daily for life. And he doesn't have his partner. And he's like completely besides himself because they, one gets the fish and takes care of the children while the other guards the area because there's a lot more eagles in Big Bear right now. There's a lot. And there's hawks and there's ravens and they're always at threat of being attacked or injured. So Jackie, she's been on patrol lately, like keeping the other adult eagles and subadult eagles out of the habitat, out of their zone. But she has been unable to do so, especially when she was caring for wounded Sandy, who accidentally, a few weeks ago, got knocked out of the nest before she could fly. It was, what we have been through this year with the death of Sandy steers and the first clutch being attacked by ravens, and then the second clutch was a miracle, but something seemed to be wrong with Jackie. And then she disappeared for a while, and then the father was stuck sitting on the babies, but he couldn't go out and get the food because there was nobody to cover the nest. And, then there was the July 4th situation, and then finally Sandy recovered enough where she could fly, but they're still completely dependent on the parents for their safety and their training and their food, their daily well-being. And the poor dad, he's just exhausted because he's handling the guard duties, he's handling the food duties, the nest duties, but in the meantime, he's flying all over Big Bear Lake like, where are you? And he's calling for her, and she's not answering. So it's terrible. Now, the good news is we have found out that she was taken to San Dimas Raptor Rescue, but then even though Friends of Big Bear Valley, they haven't announced it yet, I did see it on Insta, that she's been transferred to Ojai, where they can treat her, and there's a eagle vet there, and they have done diagnostic testing, but they're waiting to get those tests back. Oh, thank you, Kathy, for the star. Appreciate it. I'll get to the chat in just a moment. But, like, I'm trying to keep my friend alive, but yet I'm too disabled to just get in the car and go over there and say, you know what, we're going back to the hospital. And that would just stress her out further because she is an adult. And if if they told her at the hospital she can go home, she can go home. But she's not really well because her vitals are too low. And, I haven't been able to sleep the last couple of days very well, worrying about that. And, what if the worst does happen? What can I do? It's a mess. It's a big mess. In the meantime, the daughter has no child care because of, it's a mess right now. And then, I have this client he's on his last breath, apparently. But as of a few days ago, he was still alive, but I don't expect him to survive much longer in the condition he's in. But he's 93 and he's had a wonderful life. He'll actually be better off probably when he passes over because he's just, he's at the end and it's not good. It's, death is never pretty. But poor sweet Jackie, at least they have captured her. There's not 100% proof it's her, but we all know in our hearts that they've showed pictures of her, and she has not been looking well lately. This whole season, Jackie hasn't looked well. She looks very disheveled. Even her feathers look disheveled and dirty, and like you can tell that something's wrong. And, maybe this is a blessing that the sub-eaglets or the sub-eagle, the sub-adult eagles brought her down, not killed her, but brought her down so that she would be on ground level, because if she was not on ground level, there would be no way to catch her and rescue her. And then that foundation realized, the San Dimas Raptor Rescue realized that they're in over their heads, I guess, and she needs to be in better care. And they have her all wrapped up, and she's got a little crate, and she's in her own little room, and it's just, But in the meantime, I feel, I know that Jackie, she's in very good hands, because if they can make her better, eventually she can be released back to Big Bear, and she would know where to go. But in the meantime, it's super, super stressful for Shadow. The kids, I don't think they're old enough to understand, because they're almost at the age where they're going to fledge permanently and they're not going to come back and they're going to leave the area. But it is what it is. Hello, Kathy. Yeah, sometimes I'm too sensitive, and I was never like that, Sue, until after cancer, and then it just changes the whole everything. I hope she gets better too, Sandra. They are majestic birds, yes. I have been following their story. Their story started like in 2018, these two, but I've been following it since 2019, since I was having cancer. And they've had several successful children together. Without Shadow, he is the man. He is the hero in all of this right now. But he is so mentally distraught right now. But he's so busy. Like, I got to feed the babies. And, they're just inhaling. I think yesterday he brought 5 fish, like in one day. Like, that's unheard of. And they're just like, they're so aggressive. Like, they've almost stomped him. And he's had to, like, jump back. Like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, he's almost been injured trying to bring the food to them. Because they're just like fighting and like clawing at it and screaming at it. And he just, it's funny. They've got all this video of him standing back like, oh my God, what are you doing? Like, you hyenas, you savages. But the reason I'm here is I just want to ask that, you guys prayed for my friend who's still not well. Keep praying for her and her family, and keep praying start praying for our Jackie. I know that the locals probably know about this, but you guys are coming in from other states or countries that are watching my channel. There's not a lot of people here right now, only 23 people, but maybe people will see this later. It doesn't hurt to pray. I just want to see that she can be cured, because even though she is an older eagle, she's not at the age yet where, she would be considered elderly. I think she's 14 and he's 12, but they can live longer than that in the wild. Once they survive being born and, being hatched and, getting out on their own, then there's a 50-50 chance of survival the first year. But, as they get older, their longevity, their chances for longevity increase. Let's see. Candy says, when I was a little kid growing up in Montana, there was a golden eagle that had hatchlings, and the parents died somehow, so I took care of the little babies. Ah, Candy cane, thank you, until they were big enough to fly. Oh, that's amazing. Let's see. Cat Lady Grandma, hello. Oh, Kelsers, one of my pips. She's a silver level pip. So I have Pip Silver now, Pip Gold, and Pip Platinum. And all my members are under Silver, except I have 1 Gold member and 1 Platinum member. And the person that came in that joined the Gold level, I don't even know who it is. I mean, I know their username, but I don't know who they are. I haven't never seen them in my chat before. I think I might have seen them in my comments before in my videos, but never seen them in the chat. That would be CJ. So thank you, CJ, if you're watching this. I will pray for her. She's got watching her. I am praying to St. Luke the physician. It's a healing ministry. The chapter began in San Diego from Europe. Okay, thank you. Praying to St. Francis for the eagles. Yeah. I'm very sad for Shadow right now. I'm happy that, myself and thousands of people that watch this have been worried about her all year. And the organization has been downplaying it and saying, oh, she's fine, it's just nature, and she's fine, she's fine, she's fine. But deep down in my heart, I've known that something's been wrong with her for months. And she's just her appearance is so disheveled lately. Like, is that even Jackie? Like, it is, but oh my God, like, what's going on with Jackie? She just looks disheveled, like she's been through it. And people are like, oh, well, she's exhausted or she's taking a break. And, you know, this is a later in the season clutch, but she would not just abandon the family like this. You know, and I think some of the other eagles that are not theirs, that are in the area, were like, hey, let's take her out, let's get her. And then there's video of her, and she's trying to swim, but she couldn't fly. It's just devastating. Kelsa's, April, I know you're in a bad place right now, but I'm keeping you and the Eagles and everyone in this chat in my prayers. Yeah. You know, like, I've lost everybody except for my Thai family. And then I'm in love with these Eagles and all of the babies that they've made. And it's tough because, you know, they only get a successful clutch usually about once every 2 to 3 years. But last year they had Gizmo and Sunny, and they are assumed to be girls. And then this year they lost the first clutch, and they very rarely have had a second clutch. But one time they did have a second clutch, and that was Spirit, and she was born. And that's when I was going through all my cancer crap, you know. So I've seen Spirit be born. I've seen Gizmo and Sunny be born. And I've seen these two, Sandy and Luna, who are believed to be female and male, be born. So thank you, Sandra. And, you know, then this whole thing happens with my Thai family. And I couldn't even talk to her yesterday, like in all the chaos. I talked to the daughter and the son several times, but I could never hear her voice, which just bothered me. It made me, like, it was very difficult to sleep last night. Like, I slept, but then I woke up and then I couldn't get back to sleep. And then, you know, I'm just tired all day because, you know, my schedule's just all upside down right now. And then I finally reached her, and she just didn't sound good. And the son said he saw her that morning, or that the daughter had seen her that morning, or somebody saw her and she didn't look good, and that she was still low, and they thought she was still hemorrhaging. But I think it's just the remnants of what had already happened. But it's like, well, you know, you got to really watch those vitals. And, you know, I was kind of upset last night when I found out, like, oh, yeah, well, they had to give her some special meds because her pulse was too high, and probably because, you know, everything else was too low, and one's trying to compensate for the other. Hey, hydrate. Got it right here. Thank you, Connie. Thank you. That's a big one, too. That just put me up to 276. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You know, I wish I had the money that I could just give the Friends of Big Bear Valley the $10 million that they need to save the habitat. You know, I wish I could. But I can't. And I know every year that they have these babies, when they do have a successful hatchling, it's a blessing, because it's, you know, some years there's just not any eggs, or the eggs don't make it, or twice I've seen them be attacked by ravens, or they've been cracked, or, you know, something tragic has happened. But to have a second clutch and then have two babies, you know, last year they had triplets. One of them didn't make it because of the snow and the storms and the cold. And no, I'm not asking for donations for that. That would get me in trouble on YouTube. So absolutely, I cannot do that. Yeah, no gifts, no donations for anything outside of the channel. Now I can always, like, you know, donate my own money, but, you know, I don't have enough to survive with my disability. I have to think about my own animals and myself and keeping a roof over their heads. They will be okay. They'll survive even if they have to move out of the area. Oh, thank you, Nanette, for sending the star. Appreciate it. Cat Lady Grandma sent the flower. Thank you. Wow, the gifts are coming in. I just want Jackie to be okay. Like, it's going to be a long couple of days waiting for diagnostic testing. And I know that Friends of Big Bear Valley, they said, like, even if they could find out what rescue she may have been taken to, that they didn't want to announce it because they don't want people calling those rescues. But then they heard she got already transferred to a second rescue before they even knew. Like, they couldn't even contact. Like, Friends of Big Bear Valley, the organization that does all this camera work and raises all this money to try to save the habitat, like, you know, they didn't even know where she was. And then yesterday, pictures showed up on the internet from the San Dimas raptor rescue, and everybody that saw it was like, oh my God, that's Jackie. Like, that's, you know, it's, oh my God, it's Jackie. But apparently she had already been transferred, and they don't want to, they said they didn't know where she was transferred, but they don't want to identify it even if they knew, because they don't want people like going there or calling them, because they need to be taking care of the birds that they have in their care. But I did see it leak on Facebook that she was transferred to Ojai, and that's a long ways. You know, I had a neighbor that lived up there that, oh my gosh, it's a good hour and a half plus, maybe 2 hour commute. And so she's a long, long, long ways right now from Big Bear Lake. Because Big Bear Lake is, you know, it's about a 2 hour commute because you have to go, you know, up those windy mountain roads. And if she's in Ojai, you know, she's a good 3-4 hours away now from Big Bear Lake. But they could potentially, if they could find out what's wrong with her and they can fix her, they could transport her and they could bring her back to, I'm not going to say here publicly, but I know the area of the lake where she's at. I mean, I've never been up to her location, but I know that area because I've worked up there, and I know what part of the community that this nest is located in. And by the way, when there's babies in the area, you're not supposed to walk through that area. And this year, a couple times, the microphones from the cameras have heard footsteps of people walking around. Connie sent a gift. Who got the gift? Real Jilly Bee. I've never seen that person before. Welcome, Real Jilly Bee. I love your little doggy avatar. You just got a membership donated by Connie LA66. So make sure you thank Connie. Connie, you didn't need to do that, but congratulations, Real Jilly Bee. So I guess even if people are lurking in the chat and they're not actually chatting, but they're just watching the video, they can still get a membership. Hey, Bonnie Johnson, how are you? Where are you coming in from? And are you new here as well? Hope to see you in the chat, Real Jilly Bee. Wow, that's awesome. I appreciate that. Like I said, every little bit helps here. And I have noticed over the last several weeks, especially with nothing new to report with Nancy, that the channel views are just plummeting. Yesterday, I had gained a few subscribers. I've since lost 7. Now, that happens when you get into the thousands, and I'm up to 3663. I was up to 3670 yesterday. That's the highest I've ever had. I'm trying to get it to 4K. And, it's hard to do that when you're going backwards every day. And, my views are not huge. My channel kind of survives on the jewels and the super chats and the memberships. But, maybe it's summer. People are out on summer break, summer vacation, whatever it is. But there's no new news that I know of today on Nolan Wells. But I need to check that. I did check on Nancy. There was nothing. And I don't want to just come over here every day and talk to them blue in the face and tell you guys the same story, the same stuff over and over and over again, because people are going to get tired of hearing that. So we have to find other things to report. And to me, this is close to my heart, the Jackie and Shadow story. Because, she used to have another husband, and eagles stay with their mates for life until the mate dies, and then they find a new mate. But in her case, Shadow came in when her and Mr. B, her first husband, they were raising a little baby eaglet. And while they were raising one of their children, this Shadow came in, and he's a younger eagle. He came in and The reason his name is Shadow is because they mistook him for another eagle in the area named Shadow, and then it turned out it wasn't the same eagle, but they had been calling him that, so they were just like, okay, we're going to keep his name. And he actually kicked out Mr. B, the first husband, who gave up and surrendered and said, okay, I give up. I surrender. I'm leaving the area. And he actually left Jackie with his child that was still being raised in the nest. He abandoned her because Shadow was like, nope, I'm never giving up. I'm never leaving. He was trying to chase the dad out, and he decided to claim her. And they have had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6 kids together that I know of. Some have passed, but, last year they had triplets. Only 2 survived. They've had several together. She's had several with the other eagle, the other dad. But there's nothing like Shadow and Jackie, like his determination. He has never given up on her. And that's why it's so heartbreaking, because he could actually leave the area trying to go out and find her. I think what's keeping him there is the children. But they have to learn to go out on their own. He needs to, they need to work together in tandem to protect the area, protect the habitat, keep the other adult eagles and subadult eagles out of their habitat, and the ravens. There's even owls, and on the ground there's risk too, coyotes and bears, and this is a wild area. Lots of wildlife, lots of dangers in the wild. It's very hard to, once those babies are born, there's only a 50-50 chance of survival the first year. So they still have a lot of work ahead of them to make sure that these eagles can fledge permanently and do what they're supposed to do in nature and leave and disperse. So, I just got a pop-up that says, oh, hi, Raptor Center, beautiful bald eagle, and then it cut off. But it's starting to get out now that this eagle that they do think is Jackie, she's been transferred from Big Bear to San Dimas to Ojai. So hopefully she's going to be taken care of, and that she doesn't have something that she can never recover from, especially if she's got lead poisoning. I follow and sometimes I donate to an alligator rescue that's in Florida called Bellowing Acres. If you've never heard of them, please check them out. And they save a lot of animals, including alligators that are in peril of being killed, because in Florida more than 8,000 alligators a year are killed by the trappers, that because they have to be removed because they're bigger than 4 feet or whatever. And over 8,000 alligators a year are murdered. They're massacred. Even the Disney alligators have been massacred because of that incident at Disney, which wasn't the alligator's fault. It was the parents' fault. I'm sorry if you're listening, parents, but yeah, they basically did something that they weren't supposed to be doing, and they lost. There was a toddler that was eaten and dragged and hit at the bottom of the lake at Disney. And ever since then, Disney has secretly been having the trappers come out and remove all the gators, and you cannot do that. It's like, it's like trying to remove the ants in California. It's impossible. But this place in Florida, this Bellowing Acres, they've chewed off, I think they've bitten off more than they can chew. It's so big, and it's just the 2 of them, and one volunteer and 1 employee now, and they're hoping to be able to open it to the public soon. But they've taken in sick and dying alligators that have lead poisoning, and it takes a lot of medical care and procedures and antibiotics and getting the food in them, and getting them to bulk up so they can eventually do what's called chelation therapy. And these birds, they may need the same thing. If Jackie has a lead fish weight in her belly, she may have lead poisoning, and she may need chelation therapy so that she could survive having a surgery, just as these alligators in Florida. And it's taken years. The gator that almost came to them near death and almost died multiple times, he is recovering. That's Dino. He's about 11 or 12 feet, I think. He's their biggest they have, but he still hasn't been able to even start chelation therapy yet or have the surgery that could potentially kill him. He's doing better, but he's still a long ways from being out of the woods. So I know about this chelation therapy, if I'm pronouncing that right, that's, affecting wildlife all over our country. Um, Animals that are around water, they get lead poisoning from fishing weights. So she did have a fish line hanging out of her earlier this year, and there was a hook, and they think she ingested it, but then she may have, they do expel these pellets, these hard pellets, and that's all the garbage that the eagles, they're able to get that out of their body. But she still may have the fish hook in her. She still may have fishing line in her. She may have the lead fishing weights in her. And if she does, then her blood's being poisoned and she's slowly dying. It's a horrible suffering way to die. There's been many, many alligators that have died from it. They're finding alligators that are dead and they're all like expanding. They're blowing up and they're not sure what's causing that in Florida, that they're literally, they look like their body is full of gas and they're developing these big bubbles, and they've taken in several of those that have died. And oh my gosh, like there's just so much garbage in our world. Like all the rat poisoning here in Los Angeles is affecting the rats, that then the rats are eaten by the hawks, and then the hawks go down. And we have a huge amount of wildlife here. In my neighborhood, there's a tremendous amount of hawks, and some of them are getting poisoned from the rat poisoning. And these birds, they've got the perfect home because they're around this lake, and they've got plenty of food just from the lake alone, not including the small animals like the rabbits and things on the ground that they can catch. But their main diet is fish or coot, and that's similar to a duck, is a coot. Occasionally they have that. Occasionally they'll bring a rabbit, which is, I know it's sad, always makes me like cringe, like, oh my God, they have a bunny. But mostly they eat the raw fish. And some of the fish have ingested hooks or weights, and then it gets into the birds. So let's pray that the rescue place in Ojai, sorry if I don't know the name off the top of my head like I do the one in San Dimas, hopefully they're going to do they have already done diagnostic testing. They're waiting for the results, which can take several days, and we'll find out what's going on with her, more than her just being attacked by two subadult eagles, but what's really going on with her. Nanette says UC Davis is more than likely handling the necessary tests to find what is needed to get her well. I don't know where those tests have been sent to, but that's a possibility. Watching you with my granddaughter FaceTiming me on my phone. Tomorrow is her 8th birthday. Well, happy birthday to her, Maggie. I can't hear you. Why? Because of her screaming? Yes, Jackie was found, Maggie. They think it's her. Hey, Cali Girl on Fire. Welcome in. Haven't seen you. How you been doing? So yeah, I did get a little emotional today, but I'm still my bestie, who is my entire world. Her and her family, they're my world. They're all I've got left basically out here in California, because everybody else is gone or dead. Moved, died, just gone. Cancer also separates a lot of people in your life, because cancer, it ruins friendships, relationships, jobs, careers. You have a very small handful of people left when you go through something like this. 2 of my chemo buddies are gone. I'm not sure about the third. I just don't have the heart to call over there and find out if she's gone too. My best friend is my ride or die, and they did get her GI bleeding stopped, and she had a procedure to stop it. but she's still, she's not out of the woods, and she's at home, but she's not out of the woods. Her vitals are still just dangerously low, in my opinion, and I think there's more going on because she was already not feeling well, and I was trying to get her to her cardiology appointment, which, by the way, was supposed to be this month, but they may have, that may have changed because of everything that happened over the weekend. So it's rough because she's just been going through it the last couple of years. Not as much as I've been going through it, but I try to worry less about me than I do other people. So I'm praying for my Thai family, and I'm praying for Jackie, who is our queen. She is the queen of Big Bear Lake. She's the absolute queen. She's the absolute best. And, I can't ask enough for your prayers for her. There's a lot of websites you can look at, but make sure to go to the official ones that are Friends of Big Bear Valley. There's a lot of just random Facebook pages like there are in the Nancy Guthrie case that are all full of BS and AI and rumors and inaccurate information. Make sure that you watch the official Friends of Big Bear Valley, their website, their Facebook page. Nanette, when my horse was hospitalized, all his blood work, etc., was sent to UC Davis. Oh, wow, to get a diagnosis for Picaro Real. Oh, wow. That's amazing. Cali Girl on Fire, doing okay. Thank you for asking, praying for your strength and healing in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, we'll pray for Cali Girl on Fire as well. Are you praying for my strength? Okay, I misread that. Praying for your strength and healing in Jesus' name. Okay, thank you. I thought you were asking for prayers too. Like, everybody's got something going on right now. What is in the air lately? And then there's this whole Taylor Farms thing. That's an issue for me because my rabbit likes the Taylor Farms romaine mix, which has not been affected, by the way. Any rabbit cannot have iceberg lettuce. That's how most people end up killing their rabbits, by feeding them regular lettuce. It's very toxic to rabbits. And I've heard that rabbits can't get this disease that people are getting right now. However, they did announce a positive test that was linking this terrible illness that's, ravaging many states across the country to Taylor Farms. And apparently, I didn't know this, and I'm not going to get political. I'm going to try not to. But the guy that owns Taylor Farms, who is their CEO, he's a big Trumpard, MAGA person who donates a lot to the Republican Party. And there is this rumor that he met with the president at the White House yesterday. I don't know if that rumor is true. And after that visit took place, supposedly the Food and Drug Administration, known as the FDA, announced that, oops, we did a false positive, and that it's not the iceberg lettuce in the Taylor Farms lettuce. Now, Taylor Farms, they are packaged under many other brands. So if you buy lettuce at Target, I think they said Aldi, possibly. We don't have any around here. Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, which is connected to Amazon, because sometimes I get, delivery from Amazon. The Amazon Whole Foods brand, the Trader Joe's brand, many grocery stores, sub-brands, and even Kroger, that all their stuff is packaged is really Taylor Farms. So you guys need to check because, the source of this was reported as Taylor Farms iceberg lettuce. That's why Taco Bell got affected. McDonald's got affected. Chipotle got affected. Olive Garden, which I've never even eaten at, got affected. In fact, one of the ladies that comes in here just went down with it the other night. And a very good friend of my channel here, she personally went down in Ohio and she had eaten at an Olive Garden. Vaughn's carries Taylor Farms. And yeah, exactly. And my rabbit, she lives off the Taylor Farms romaine mix. Not romaine hearts, not iceberg, but chopped romaine mix. And there's a few carrot shreds and there's a little bit, just a teeny, teeny, tiny bit of red cabbage shreds in that mix, and it's her favorite, and it's safe. Sounding political, yeah, but that's the truth, you know. Now, on the other hand, because there's two sides to this coin, these allegations that this guy went to the White House and now everything is flipped and turned the other way, there's a possibility that that's actually true. There is a possibility that it's a false positive. There is a possibility that it's not the Taylor Farms iceberg lettuce, which is in all these other packaging, these generic labels, basically. You know, when you go to the grocery store and you buy generic paper towels, there's no factory that produces generic paper towels or generic laundry soap. Those are well-known bigger brands that are just repackaged as generic, or it's packaged under so-and-so farms, but it's all under one big company. And Taylor Farms, over the years, they've had multiple serious violations, including E. coli and all kinds of like terrible stuff that can kill you. But it was traced to them, and now the FDA, which is part of the U.S. government, which is underneath Trump, it's been reversed. But it may have been legitimately reversed. And if it's legitimately reversed, and there's people that are getting sick now that weren't even exposed to the Taylor Farms lettuce situation, it could be coming from another source. Or it could be a major government cover-up. We can't trust our own country anymore. I mean, nobody can trust the United States anymore. So now everybody's like, oh, don't eat their stuff. And wonder if they really are innocent and it's not them. You see what I'm saying? But now I have a problem with it because now, you know, I'm disabled and I can't drive all over town to all these different grocery stores looking for, I've got to find an organic romaine that's not for me, but it's for the bunny. Because even though they say it can't transfer to animals, if their stuff is really that toxic, I don't want her eating it. But yet she could go into stomach stasis real easily without her. She needs to have a little bit of vegetables per day. Not too much because it can cause intestinal digestive issues in rabbits, but they do need some greens and not regular iceberg lettuce, but they need romaine or a romaine mix, as long as there's not too much other, you know, ingredients that could be toxic to her tummy. So I'm trying to find romaine lettuce that's not in a big leaf and not romaine hearts, but chopped romaine organic that's been thoroughly washed, that's not on the contaminated list. Because I thought, oh, I'll just order from Amazon. But Amazon and their brands is part of Whole Foods, which is like they own Whole Foods, Amazon. And Whole Foods is one of the stores that's affected. Ralph's, here we have Ralph's. Las Vegas is called Smith's, but they're part of Kroger. Their brand is really Taylor Farms. The brand that's at Trader Joe's, I can't remember. They usually don't have it. They're usually out of it. They're usually sold out of it 9 times out of 10 when I'm there. That's part of Taylor Farms. If you could do a Target or Walmart order, their brands are part of Taylor Farms. So, exactly, Cali Girl on Fire. I bought 2 bags of chopped lettuce for my salads from Walmart, and I just have to toss them now because that definitely is not worth the risk. Exactly. Hello, in Wisconsin, we have Kroger's. They took over our Roundy's Corporation 3 years ago. We have a Piggly Wiggly that's been around 62 years. I haven't heard that in a long time, Piggly Wiggly. I remember that from the Gulf Coast. I don't know if we had any, but I would see their train cars go by, Piggly Wiggly, and I was like, oh, that's so funny. So, you know, I'm sorry if you're offended, Maggie, but a friend got sick one day after eating a hamburger. Yeah, There's a gal that comes in here that's part of the gold community, friends. And she, over the weekend, she had become very ill, and she had recently eaten at an Olive Garden in Ohio, somewhere in northern Ohio, I think. And Olive Garden is one of the restaurants that's on that list. They did find out that most of the people across the nation that have been affected did eat at Taco Bell. And Taco Bell gets their lettuce, which is in almost all of their products, from Taylor Farms. You can come get into my garden anytime, April. I grow a lot of veggies and fruits in my garden. I wish. I need romaine for the rabbit. So I'm not going to, now that this has happened, whether they're guilty or they're innocent, because it could possibly be true that it was a false positive, and they're completely innocent. But apparently they have a very bad history. You know, it's kind of like, remember when, I don't know if you guys were following me when I was talking about the Timothy Busfield case, and there was a lot of evidence that that guy was being set up by the parents of these two boys that he's accused of doing terrible things to. But during that investigation, all this other stuff came out about him, which he hasn't exactly denied, some of which is apparently true. And if that's the case, even if he didn't harm these two boys that he was accused of, the damage is already done, and he's not working. He has no work in the entertainment business because, you know, even if this is false allegations, if you look at his other past, it's quite disgusting. And so even if Taylor Farms is innocent and there really was a false positive in the Taylor Farms, you know, iceberg lettuce contamination scandal, you can just look online now and say, well, in 2017 this happened, in 2018 this happened, in 2019, in 2020. You know, almost every year that company has some major issue that comes up. And now they're saying don't even have like Driscoll's strawberries or raspberries because it has cancer-causing substances. Do you know how many strawberries I've ingested in my life? And I'm not a big fruit and vegetable person, but I'm a huge berry person. I've eaten a lot of Driscoll's strawberries and raspberries. And apparently, you know, even though their berries and raspberries don't have E. coli or this diarrhea-causing virus or parasite, they're so toxic because of all their pesticides. So it's really making me think like, well, you know, how about my frozen stuff? Like, you know, if it was sprayed, even if it's frozen, it's still going to be contaminated. So now I got to figure out like soon because she's out of lettuce today. She's out of her salad mix. You know, is the romaine mix, is that still safe? You know, are the stores just pulling all of the Taylor Farms products off their shelves and throwing it in the garbage? I mean, if there's no other alternative, I will still have to buy the Taylor Farms romaine mix for her. 4 weeks ago, I began a vegetable salad health food kick. I didn't get sick so far. That's good to hear, Kay, in New Jersey. Okay, Nanette says, we have so many people showing up at the ER with lettuce poisoning here in San Diego. Yeah, you know what? I've heard that there's people in California that are getting sick, but yet they're saying that, oh, well, this illness is not affecting California, but I don't believe that. I think it's everywhere now. Kelsa says, I grow everything. I'm very lucky, and my grandpa has a fabulous farm where I get my meat. I give it out to my friends for Christmas and birthday presents. Oh, that's so sweet, Kelsers. Yeah, thank God for Middle America. You know, California surprisingly grows a lot of crops here, but I don't think it, maybe it's more like fruits here, but we have quite a big dairy industry and fruit and vegetable industry here, surprisingly. Had to buy glyphosate or glyphosate, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, free products, even organic products, are truly not organic. That's true, Maggie. Thank you for saying that, Maggie. Thank you for bringing that up because that's true. There's a lot of organic products that aren't organic at all. And now they're saying that our chicken, which is about the only thing I can eat now, that it's rinsed in chlorine. And even these other brands. It's like, the big, like Tyson, they own all these other little sub-brands, with these generic brands that you get at some of the smaller stores. Like, you really have to do a deep dive on what's going into your body. But, my rabbit, she could just, if something affected her digestive tract, she could go just like that. Yeah, Nanette, she says, you are so lucky, Kelzers. So that's on my to-do list today, is to find her some romaine chopped lettuce or romaine chopped mix that's not Taylor Farms, even though their romaine has not been affected. It apparently comes from a different source than where they're getting this iceberg. And if you're to believe the latest, whether it's a political statement or not, they are alleging that the CEO of that company is a big Trump follower and that he made a visit to the White House and all of a sudden the FDA reversed its stance. But that could all be, propaganda. And, you have to think of the flip side of that wonder if they're telling the truth, that there was a false positive and it's not their products. I wish it could be everywhere here in America. I take it for granted. It's kind of like California taking our, almost every day of sunshine for granted, Every place has got pros and cons, even here. We have the best of certain things and we have the worst of certain things, but I think it would kind of be cool to be in the Midwest and have some weather. I don't want tornadoes, but here it's just it's sunny every day and it very rarely ever rains, or it's just shaking and baking. And we have unusually high temperatures this year in July, which we usually don't have. July is usually pretty mild here. Okay, Walmart classic iceberg mix says USA, not Mexico, safe to eat, not recalled, still in stores. Well, I actually need to find romaine, whether it's just the chopped romaine alone or it's a romaine mix, as long as it's not mixed with something that she can't have. Because I just, they claim it's not affecting California and it's not affecting their romaine. But, I also heard there was a truck driver that made a public statement over the weekend saying that he does pickups from their farms and that they have porta potties. A lot of the fields in Mexico and southern United States have the porta potties in the fields where the workers are, and that when you try to wash your hands, at the washing station that are supposed to be with the porta potties, that they never have any water. And so even if they are able to go and use the bathroom, people have to use the bathroom while they're working. If they're using a porta potty, but there's no way to wash their hands, that's disgusting. I think that's where a lot of this contamination comes into the food chain. I know, Callie girl. It is weird that the lettuce came from California. Well, it was actually it came from Mexico. Now, are you saying that it was made in California? Because the lettuce that's in question came from Mexico. But it could have come here to be processed before it went there. I don't know. Um, I've never lived in Medford, but I stayed in Medford off and on for like 5 years between the ages of 13, 14, 15. I missed 16 because we were traveling other places, and then 17 in the beginning of 18. My sister lives out in Medford. Yeah, oh my gosh. I'm trying to remember the name of the neighborhood. It's off Stokes Road. Oh my gosh. It's on the edge of the New Jersey Pine Barrens. So I've spent a lot of time in Medford. I wish I had lived in Medford, but my friend Stephanie lived in Medford. And her family still lives there. And as far as I know, her mother, who's now in her 90s, is still alive, and her brother's still there. And she's like in a nearby community now with her husband and kids. But like, yeah, I spent a lot of time in Medford. I loved it there. I absolutely loved it there. I had the time of my life when I was a child, when I spent time in New Jersey. And then when I lived in Maryland, which was only a year, like I literally lived there exactly 1 year before I came back to California, I spent at least half of my time in Medford. So, like, I am more familiar with that house in Medford than I ever was in the house that we moved into in Washington, D.C., because I was hardly ever there. It was just a place to sleep. But my room and my closet was like in the house in New Jersey, even though that wasn't my parents' place. And I've spent Christmases there, Thanksgiving there once, spring breaks there, summers there. Like, I love it there. Now, it's very cold in the wintertime. But I love that area. I have very fond memories of that, especially around the holidays. Kelsers, we have the beautiful Four Seasons. Everyone says who would want to live there, but I can't imagine living anywhere else. That's how I feel about California. Yeah, Taylor Farms, I think, is based out of Cali. But I didn't know until all this happened that Taylor Farms is a big donor to the Trump administration and to the Republican Party. And I'm not slamming anybody's party, but, hey, Lori Smith, but the Republican Party that my parents were part of when I grew up is not the same Republican Party that there is today. And, we're kind of a laughingstock to the world right now. And if the guy that is the CEO of that company is, somehow in cahoots with Trump, it is a bit disturbing, because it means that can we trust the information that's coming out? Like, was it really sourced to their products, this illness, this terrible illness that obviously, came out of Mexico? But wonder if that's true, that it was a false positive. Is something being covered up, and all of a sudden they went, oh, no, it's not Taylor Farms, because Taylor Farms will go bankrupt. Oh, it's not Taylor Farms, it's a false positive. But wonder if that's true, and it's not Taylor Farms, and it's some other product that all these same grocery stores and restaurants are getting. Wonder if it's multiple things. Maybe it's not just the Taylor Farms lettuce. Maybe there's something else going on too. Kelsers, I wish I could send you all my produce and meat. It's truly organic and no antibiotics or anything. Oh, wonderful. Kelser says, yes, ma'am, I grow everything. I haven't bought any produce from a store since I was a child. I was told to grow everything myself. That's all I know. That's so cool. Greetings from Iceland. Oh my gosh. Hold on a minute here. Okay. Greta and Henry? Is that who this is? From Iceland? Let me know in the chat. Were you the couple that are from Germany that came in before from Iceland? Oh, Lori Smith. I'm sorry, I didn't even see that. I hadn't got to that yet. Oh, Thor and Gretel. Thor, yes. How are you, my friends? Everybody say hello to Thor and Gretel. They're a couple that from Germany that live in Iceland. I'm okay. Oh, there's a heavy storm? You know what? After you came into my chat last time, I went to this website, and I just went into YouTube because I used to watch this YouTube channel that records 24 hours a day from Iceland because they record the auroras. And then I realized, like, well, wait a minute. It's summertime there, and I would assume that in Iceland now, because it's so far to the north in the hemisphere, in the northern hemisphere, is it true that you guys are light all year around, or I mean all summer long, like Alaska, when they say, you know, it's constant daylight? Is it like Alaska in the summer? Do you have daylight all night long? Because I was like, oh, where's my channel with the auroras? And then I was like, oh, hello, dummy, it's Iceland. Like, they're probably like Alaska and parts of Canada, and, you know, where the land of the midnight sun. You know, that's what they say about Alaska. And I was like, oh, I can't wait for, like, the seasons to change and for that area to get dark again so I can watch the beautiful Aurora Borealis video footage. Yeah, Callie girl, isn't she amazing? Oh, gosh, now I want to go to Kansas. Thor and Gretel. I remember I just couldn't think of Thor's name, but I remember Gretel. That's you. Oh my gosh. We are the loneliest people of the world. Our next neighbors are 54 kilometers. Well, you can come into my channel anytime and come join our lives or watch the videos or send me an email. Shoot me your address. I'll send you something from LA. Thor and Gretel, do you have mail delivery where you are? Or are you so far off the grid that you don't have any mail delivery? Let me know. Okay, your wife is from Berlin. I remember that. And you're from Norway. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. So Thor, you're from Norway and she's from Germany. Okay. We earn money here to making shoes in homework. There's a funny work to get more money. Okay, you're making shoes? Like at home? Oh, wow. Yeah, do you have any access to mail, Thor and Gretel? Do you have any access to, do you have mail delivery? I don't know if that's what they call it there. Like in the United States, it's the U.S. Postal Service, and in Canada, it's Canada Post. And do you have mail delivery? Oh, I wish I could have a garden. I'm reading messages between the members in the chat. Maggie saying, great job, Kelsers. Yeah. We celebrate the midsummer. Okay, so you don't have darkness in the summer? Your daughter from Dusseldorf, Rhine. Is that Germany? Is visiting. Oh, you sent me an email. Thank you. I'll send you an email back if you're still here. I'll definitely send you an email back. I love you too, guys. That's so amazing. You guys, isn't it cool? We only have 14 people in the room, but you know what? That's so cool to have people come in again that came in from Iceland. That's so nice. I'm so happy to see them. Yeah, good night. Good night. Oh, wow, that's awesome. Well, that picked me up a little bit. And I didn't turn off my notifications, so my notifications, you guys can't see them, but they keep popping up on my screen because I didn't want to hit do not disturb in case, you know, God forbid my Thai family calls and says, oh, we're on the way to the hospital again or something like that. So this video is a little different. This is, you know, I started the channel for me. This one's not about Nancy. It's not about Nolan Wells. Not about anything. But, I'm very upset about Jackie. And I'm just praying every moment for my Thai family, for the mom to recover. Oh, there, you're still there. You're still there. I didn't see that. Thor, the cost of living here is very, very high. So in addition to our pension, we do some work from home, making shoes out of cork and felt, which are very popular here, to earn some extra money. Oh, that's cool. Oh, wow. Now, I can't pronounce that, but he says good night. Thor and Gretel here from, it looks like, Krokuti? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Because I know you have, it's not an English language there. Oh, wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I'll answer your email tonight. I definitely will. I know there's a big time difference, so, you get to it when you get to it, but I will answer your email. Yeah, let me know if you have any, do you get mail there? I'll shoot out some channel mail to you. Oh, sounds like you. Okay, let's see. Is it Krukuti? Krukuti? The OE sounds like a U. Oh, wow. That's so cool, Kelsers. Do you have animals there too, or is it just like produce? That's amazing. Well, I appreciate that, everybody. Thank you for all your prayers. Let's pray for Jackie. Let's pray for my Thai family. It's so nice to hear from Thor and Gretel. I think, Thor, are you the one typing in the chat? Say hello to Greta. Let me see. Let me go back. Make sure I'm saying this right. Because I even had your names written down on my little, yeah, Thor and Greta. I had it written down on my little, what is it called? A boogie board. But I had my notes here for today. So let me write that down again. That's so cool. Wow, that's just amazing. People coming in from all over. Wow, Kelsers, I'm so jealous. I wish you could just teleport with some romaine mix, some organic romaine mix. For little Amelia Kinsley bunny. Yeah, I bet the rent is a lot cheaper there too than it is here. I might actually be able to survive there, Kelsers, financially. Although if I couldn't smell that ocean air that comes into, the valley every night over the Hollywood Hills, I don't know, I might just, shrivel up and die. I've got open offers to go to my cousins in Oklahoma or my cousins in South Carolina. And so far, it's like, no. I've got my hospital here, my doctors here, my pharmacy here, my Thai family here. I couldn't possibly leave them. But who knows where life will bring. But that's crazy. I know. What are the odds, Nanette? You guys have, she's got a granddaughter in your area. That's crazy. I was on a cross-country road trip, Kelsers, with my dad once, and I'm like, you know what? Let's get off the highway as we were going from one state to the next. Let's get off the highway for just a moment so we can say we went into Kansas, but we had this big, truck, and we, I'm trying to remember if we were entering Oklahoma, but we're like, let's just get off the highway really quick, and just so we can say we went to Kansas. And there was nothing. There was no city, no community. There was nothing. There was no farm or crops, or it was just flat as a pancake where we were. And I was like, oh my God, there's not even a gas station, or a stoplight. Oh my God. And then we somehow had to like go find a place to turn the truck around and get back to the main road. And I was like, woo, we did it. We were all excited about that. Like, yep, we saw Kansas. My dad was like, there was nothing to see. But you know what? I'm sure they have like Kansas City. That's like a really nice town. But we were just in that little teeny corner where it crosses into Oklahoma. And it was just like, whoa, there's nothing. um, but I think that would be beautiful. Kelsers, my grandparents are in their 90s and they're going strong. Nothing wrong with them. Yeah, because all that, they grow their own food. That's why so many people, probably including myself, in the United States are ravaged with cancer because besides it being in my family genes, the cancer gene, not the breast cancer gene, but the cancer genes, it's all the food. Who's got horses, rabbits, and fosters and kitties? Wow, you're so lucky. They're in their 90s and they're still going strong because they're living off the organic food from homegrown from the land. That's amazing. Yeah, everything in the grocery store is like toxic. We foster everything here in Kansas. We try to save all animals. I love that. I'm liking Kansas right now. That's amazing. Well, now my task for the rest of the day, besides watching the Dodgers and the Phillies, yeah, Kansas loves all. The pesticides used in the USA don't help either. No, they don't, Kay. My goal is to try to go find some romaine lettuce that's chopped, not hearts or leaves, but chopped romaine lettuce, maybe in a mix. That's not Taylor Farms or one of their subsidiary brands. I need to find some organic romaine. And I know it's going to cost me more, but you know, my animals are worth it. At this point, I'm worried just about them drinking the water here. Like maybe I should get some more spring water just for them. Wow, that's amazing. I'm just so thrilled with all the people that have come in today. Okay, I know I've only got 17 people in the room, and thank you to all who did come in. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the jewels. Let's see. Let me just go through it really quick. Oh, also thank you if you're still here, Connie. Connie sent a membership. Lori Smith sent the only super chat of the day. Thank you. And thank you for the $2.92 in jewels that was sent by many of you. I appreciate that. And let me go to the computer screen so I can heart that one from Lori Smith. So, and if you're still here, Thor and Greta, I'll get to your email tonight. So, everybody, I know it's 2 days in a row, but I'm just, I'm asking for more prayers here in Southern California. Thank you.